What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. We'll talk about some technical indicators to be watching for and what the market's doing thus far, and what's going on with some other pieces of news which are very important simultaneously. Before I break down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, when it comes to the market right now, SPY is actually broken past this resistance at this yellow trend line, and this could be a breakout attempt so far. But we have to see this thing try to break and hold some key resistance for this thing to continue even higher. Now, I did mention in my previous video that we might see a pop and drop as the most likely possibility, but I want to make a little adjustment. I think we're actually trying to break out right here, and we'll have to be a little careful to see where this thing actually establishes a possible low before it tries to continue higher. So this means that it might actually go even higher than expected. It could actually push even more, but we have to see this thing try to eventually make its way back above 513.5 and hold that. If it achieves that, it could push even higher. So I'll break this down in more detail in just a few minutes. Let's first talk about some data, some news, and then I'll talk more about the charts. So for today, it's Monday, March 18th. Do not forget that at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have some housing data coming out, which could affect the market to some extent 30 minutes after open. Then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out. So watch for volatility at those times. Going into tomorrow, there's very minor data coming out, but on Wednesday, we have the FOMC meeting. Things become a lot more serious then. Now, for now, we're actually seeing a lot of interesting things right here. We did have two straight losing weeks, technically speaking, for most of the US averages. That is a big drop so far, especially because of the fact that we got higher than expected inflationary readings. So we're going to be watching to see what the Fed says for all of this once they announce the FOMC meeting, especially on Wednesday. Now, moving forward, Congress is yet again attempting a partial government shutdown. Lawmakers have until Friday to pass appropriation bills or let funding lapse for 6 departments. So we're going to be watching to see what comes out from Congress going into this week. I'm going to skip anything involving more details about politics. We had some more news that came out that Novo Nordisk's popular weight loss prescriptions, they basically have been approved in the U.S. for lots of benefits. That's actually a big change for them. And on top of this, there have been a lot of things coming out involving tech laying off more and more of their workers. This is very important, but you have to remember that so far, uh, you know, other things are still changing within the different markets so far, which are causing adjustments for these workers. So I'm seeing more news about more tech layoffs, but we'll see how it goes moving forward. A couple more pieces of news. Alphabet's up 5.5% after a report that Apple's in talks to license Gemini for iPhones, which is very, very good for AI enthusiasts. So that's actually good news from both sides. Tesla's hiking all prices on the Model Y vehicles in the US. Bullish news is Tesla's bouncing. And finally, for Nvidia, it's also bouncing because right now we have the giant AI conference coming out, and they're going to be making a lot of announcements about their new products. If they do end up announcing new products such as what it did last year, that's going to be a lot more beneficial for them. They could announce that it's going to begin producing its H20 AI chip for the Chinese market. If that's the case, bullish news Nvidia could bounce, and that could actually help the market, especially the QQQ bounce too. So for SPY, right now we're at 513.5 right now. If we start sinking and watch 512.5 to 512, if we lose 512, we're going to turn bearish and we could fill this gap down to 510. If we start pushing higher, we want to see it hold above 513.5. If we do hold this, we could push to 515 in my opinion. If that breaks, we could go all the way up to about 517. Now, what is SPY doing? Just to be frank with you, SPY is looking a bit more bullish right now. It actually looks like it could attempt to go a little higher. It is fighting in this 513.5 area, but looking a little bullish on the 30 minutes time frame. So look for a little retracement right here. Could retest the 512s, then try to continue pushing as long as we hold above that. And even if we do retrace a little bit to 512, we could come back up to 513.5. As long as we hold above that, this thing could push higher. If we hold above 513.5, I could see this thing going for at least 515 plus. If we fail to hold it, we're going to come down lower. I suspect that's going to come down a bit and try to push higher, because now I'm seeing some adjustments on our time frames. So as of right now, the chart's actually trying to get a nice bounce. So we're going to be watching to see if we could get that. The chart does have a lot of potential. So for SPY, those are your levels, and I do see some more potential for upside, but watch and see if we could later on get a hold above 513.5. Might come down first and break, then start pushing higher. But in case something else happens, make sure you watch your levels, but that's what I kind of favor, more potential upside. Watch your levels just to be safe. On to Tesla stock. Tesla had some bullish news. Exactly as predicted, Tesla got this nice bounce. We're testing 170. It could retrace a bit, cool off a little bit, then continue pushing. And if we manage to hold above, in my opinion, 172, so that's actually above our 30 minutes. Let me just double check this. For Tesla, the 30 minutes, 200 EMA, I believe it is. If we break past 172, I believe Tesla will go all the way up to 175. Now we have some resistance at 172. Might touch resistance at 172, come down a little bit to our retracement area, then start pushing all the way up to about 175. We have support at 168, 165, and then 162. Tesla is going to be fighting this 170 to 172 zone. I think it could pop a bit, come back down a little bit, then eventually start pushing upwards. And once we get that break, I could see this thing going all the way up to 175 if we manage to hold above 172. So that's my prediction. It might come down a bit, then continue higher. But we called this move since yesterday. Tesla would likely bounce, and that's what you're seeing. Onto the QQQ, we're seeing something very similar. So this is getting dragged up thanks to Nvidia. We could see the QQQ make a very, very nice attempts to bounce. Sorry, my chart's right here. On the 30 minutes time for making a big move, we're going to be watching resistance right here at this 440 area, 439 to 440. That's where our 50 to 200 EMAs happen to be. And on the 4 hour, we're also trying to fight resistance very close to 439. So I'm going to be watching resistance at 439 to 440, basically like right here. And that happens to align with this trend line. So if we were to adjust this a little bit, it's kind of like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're back within this channel of the QQQ. Could come down a little bit at first, but then if we start breaking past this, as long as we hold above 438, I could see this thing eventually coming up to 440 plus and eventually 442. So it may pop, drop a little bit, and it may continue higher on the current trend. If we lose 436, we turn back to bearish, and I could see it retracing to 434. But my gut tells me it's going to come down a bit and try to continue pushing. And Nvidia may help this to some extent. Now, for let's actually talk about Nvidia, then Aapl. So the QQQ does look like it may kind of pop, drop a little bit, then continue pushing. The Nvidia, we've actually broken above this resistance. So I would say that Nvidia is approaching our next level at 908. If it breaks this, we're going to be pushing to 920 plus. Then we have this imbalance to fill all the way up to about 928. If we break that, we're going to be making a nice recovery. In my opinion, the chart looks bullish. We're going to be pushing to this resistance at 908, watch support at 900, 892, and then 885. I think that it's going to push a little bit to 908, retrace a little bit, and then we can continue higher, as this kind of resembles like an inverse head and shoulders like structure, something even more bullish. So I'd say this chart looks bullish. Nvidia is pumping because of its events, but in order for this to continue, we need some more news to come out involving their software and things like that. So if they make big announcements, that's going to be more bullish. But the chart looks bullish, may pop a little bit more, come down a bit, and then continue higher. So far, so good from Nvidia. For Aapl, Aapl is, in my opinion, looking pretty good. We actually broke past 174 for the first time. I said we might test it, but I was worried we might reject because that's what kept happening. But instead, this time we broke it, so it's actually stronger than I was expecting since we finally got that break. And now that we got the break, I think we could try to retrace a bit, retest 174, then start pushing back up to 175.75. Aapl may break out thanks to some bullish news involving Meta with the Gemini software to be implemented. So I think that this might push higher. I think that there's more potential for this to push higher. Might retrace it, but then just try to continue to bounce. So I'm going to be looking for a move to the upside for Aapl as we're starting to turn on our 4 hour. All right, so look for a retracement to 174, then a push up to 175.75, and then even higher levels after that. Anyways, thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. I went over a lot of levels on both sides, but I told you guys what I predict will happen. So watch your levels, guys. Be safe, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. One last thing, let's just go over a couple more. I forgot about Super Micro before I conclude the video. Hold on 1 second. We have Super Micro right over here. So one thing that you will notice is that on our chart, right, Super Micro is also trying to bounce with Nvidia. We're at 1100. If we break this, watch 1121. And then we also have a few more like, Amazon, trying to rebound. Watch 176 as resistance. If this breaks, 178 is a possibility. And Meta's actually bouncing. Now we're back at resistance at 490. If we break this, watch 494 and eventually 500. So the chart looks bullish. Could try to push towards 494. Got to break that for this thing to push to 500. So watch for that and on Meta. All right, that's it. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys very soon, and peace out.